Hey, now this is Daniel from the Blues Square, and I told you guys I would like to do a recap of my monthly played games, and this is my second month doing it in a row. Yeah, two times in a row. That's a trend for me. That's pretty much a habit. So this is a thing. You're gonna have to just sit there and like it, I guess. And while you're sitting there and liking it, go ahead and like this video. Also subscribe because it's not gonna hurt you. No one's gonna know. It's just our little secret, okay? So go ahead and subscribe, and we appreciate it. All right, well, enough of that. Let's get into the games that I played this month. I'm going to start off with the games that I liked the least and then progressively get better. Also, the games that I like better, I've probably have talked about on the show before too, so they're a little less interesting if you've been a long time listener. So let's go ahead and start with the first game that I'm going to talk about, and that is Football Feud, and I give this game a 5. It is a simple little card game that maybe just is not for me. It's a good game. It's fine. It's what you're going to do is you're going to be dealt 7 cards, and your goal is to get 100 yards out of those 7 cards. You're going to be able to discard as many of them as you want and draw new cards. Then you're stuck with that hand, and that's it. And you're going to play 5 of those cards. Now, if you get a total of 100 yards, then you get a touchdown, which is 7 points, of course. And if you get 3 of a kind, you also get a touchdown. So there is a little dilemma there about which cards you should keep. Like, are you going to go for like the big yardage, or are you going to go for the 3 of a kind? So either one could be really beneficial. And then you're keeping 2 cards for this round to the next round as well. So sometimes you're like, well, I got 2 5s. That's not going to get me a touchdown. But if I get the third 5, then maybe they're worth holding on to. So I'm going to hold on to these, and we're going to shuffle the deck again, be dealt out 5 more cards. I'm going to discard those 5, get 5 more, and huzzah, I got my 5th 5. But what did I give up in the meantime? Also, there's cards in there that are like interceptions and fumbles that actually take cards away from your opponents, and there's nothing they can do about it. So this game plays in like 15 minutes. So it's not a horrible game, and for what it is, it does a decent job at it. And if you're a big sports fan, I don't know, maybe it's worth checking it out. Maybe this is a game you can play between quarters or something, or during commercial breaks. I do want to play it with my family still, but as of now, I wasn't entirely thrilled with it. The next one is also sports themed. That's right. If you watched our last episode, we reviewed 3 baseball board games because it's October, baby, and October is baseball month. It's, you know, the best time of the year as all the playoff teams are battling, and unfortunately my Cubbies, they got eliminated in round 2 of the playoffs. Still a little sensitive about that, but it's okay. And we lost to the Brewers, but I'm actually rooting for the Brewers from here on out. But anyways, it would have been great if the Cubs would have won. But I digress. Let me talk about the game that, the actual board game that you might actually play, and that is Bat Flip Dynasty. This one was okay. It felt like a game that was not quite finished. It's a drafting game where you're trying to build the best 5-player team, and which is a cool concept. And then it has money that's what's the word for it? A closed economy. The money you start the game with is the only money you will ever receive to pay for all of these players. So it's a really clever idea. The only problem is the game doesn't play out long enough for those pricing decisions to really matter or feel that important. But if it played longer, then you would need more than 5 cards, because then you're just drafting. And that's also part of the problem too. When you are drafting the 3rd time, you're like, I don't really want to participate in the draft phase because I already have a team that I'm pretty happy with. And then on top of that, if it was just the drafting, that would be a fine game. But then there's this playoff rules where you take all the dice that you use to activate the cards that you drafted, and then you just roll them. And if you get combos, then you score more points just because. So I don't know, felt like 2 games kind of mashed together. It was okay. It was fine. I'd play it again, but I don't know. I don't need to play it again. So because of that, it's going to be lower on this list. My next one is in the, in the mood of the season of October. Chris busted out My Father's Work, and I won, and it reaffirmed that this game is fine. It's just fine. The story about it is okay. It's a really ambitious story-driven game where every era you're going to flip the book and you're going to have a new map layout, which is super cool. You're going to have new buildings to visit, new worker placement things to go. And then what you did in the previous rounds actually impact where the game is going to move on to. So it's really ambitious game and a really cool concept. But unfortunately, it's a really good Euro game that just has a whole bunch of randomness, and you never know if the story is going to screw you over or not. So you're playing like 2 to 3 hours, and you just don't know if anything you're doing is actually going to pan out. I said I won. I think Chris won. I think he did a really good job, but that's beside the point. My father's work is okay, and I'll play it with Chris, and I'll be happy to play it too. There's so many holes in this game that I'm not happy to give this a higher rating, but I do appreciate the ambition, and it was still a good time. All right, the next one is a Codenames-like game, and that is Alibis from Allplay. So this is a game of two stories. I played this at my second Friday game night with like really heavy gamers, and it was fine. It's just like Codenames but it's cooperative. So you are given 2 words, and you have to link those 2 words, and those 2 words are tied to a suspect. Once everybody has figured out who the 2 people everybody has, that leaves one person who is the villain that you need to arrest or whatever, and that's your reward. When I played this with adults, it was swingy. One round was really easy. Another round was really hard to come up with one word to combine 2 things. Like I still challenge anybody to think of souvenir and spoon. Yeah, you know what I used? Kansas. Because when you're driving down the interstate and you go to a gas station and they have those little souvenir spoons and they're always states. So I just said Kansas, but no one knew what. Maybe I should have said states. Maybe that would have been better. But still, it was really hard. Like, I don't know what word to connect those 2. And I challenge you. Tell me, what word should I have used to connect spoon and souvenir? Please tell me. But then I played this with my family and my kids, and we had a blast. So this was a lot of fun to play with the kids. It wasn't overwhelming for them because they were only given 2 words. They didn't have to think too far out of the box. When you play with Codenames, you got to combine like 5 words or do 2. And then the 2 is super simple because when I got 5 words, it's easier to think of 2 words to connect, or 1 word to connect 2 of them. Now, when I'm only given 2 words, it's a little harder because you're kind of pigeonholed. So it was okay. I will play it with my family, and I do look forward to playing it with my family again, but I'm probably not going to bring it to too many game nights. All right, this next one was on my list last month as well, and that is Citizen of the Sparks. So I've played it a couple more times, and I'm still kind of in the same boat. Like, I think it's a fun game, and I like the idea that it's doing, but I don't know, man. Sometimes it plays too quick. Sometimes it plays too swingy. Sometimes it plays too viciously. And also, Randy has a running theory that if you go first, you just have a massive advantage because you get to trigger more actions than everybody else does. Because when you play a card, you draft 3 cards, and then you choose an action to follow with. Well, if you're first player, you got 5 actions you get to choose from. If you're second player, you now have 5 actions, and then the first player has 5 actions to choose from. But third and fourth player still only has 2 cards to choose from. So it's innately a disadvantage. Like, you get 2 or 3 full turns before you actually get to do anything, or before you can really leverage anything that's going on in the game. So I don't know. Still not giving up on it, but unfortunately, it's not panning out the way I thought it would, or the day I would want it to. The next one was a very unique game, and this was part of our baseball review, and that is Diamond Dice Baseball. This is a baseball simulator where all you're doing is rolling 2 dice and you're comparing your result to a chart. What's really cool about this, though, is that chart is going to change depending on where your players are on the base. So if I roll 6 and a 6, that's really good. And if I have no one on, that's going to give me a result. Maybe it's a base hit. Well, now I have a runner on first. So now I'm going to flip the page to where it has a whole new chart for runners when they're runners on first. And then I roll a 34, and that says a base hit. So now my runners advance. I have 1 on first and second, but I could choose to say I'm going to send that runner on second because he's a fast runner. So then I move to the fast runner chart, and then I'm going to roll the dice, and I'm going to compare it to the strength of the arm that the outfielder had. And if the outcome is great, then my person is now on first and third. And then, you guessed it, when I roll 2 more dice, I'm going to go to the page that says runners are on first and third. this sounds very like formulaic, I guess, but I don't know, just really exciting. We had, like, I played it with Kelly of all people, and me and her were like, we had stand-up moments. When I won at the end, I like ran around like the Cubs won the playoff. I was like, woo, as if the Cubs won the playoffs, because as we know they didn't, and it was painful, and then that's just so sad. But Diamond Dice Baseball, it's a solid game. I enjoy it. I'm probably not going to play it very often, and it's going to be if somebody around me was like playing a league of it, like I might jump in on that. I might take advantage of that, but just pulling it off my shelf and just randomly playing it, probably not. So that's where I landed a 7 with this one. My next one is Viticulture. This is one that we play on our Monday night groups. And Viticulture, it's good. It's fun. It has a really unique worker placement system where you are traveling through the seasons as an entire round. So if I have 3 workers, I have to decide which seasons I'm going to use them in. Maybe I use a worker in spring, skip fall altogether, and then do winter or summer. I think I did those in the wrong order, but I think you get my point though. You actually have to look at the entire board and decide when are you going to act, and you have to decide that early on. Also, by passing quickly, you can leverage turn order so that you can get more favorable positions. There's also 2 workers you can hire who have unique powers, and every game those unique powers kind of change, but they're universal for everybody. And it's not too bad of a game. I'm giving it a 7 because I'm not super excited about it, but I also see how much joy this brings to people, and I do see there's a lot of forward thinking, and I love forward thinking in board games. I think the only thing that holds me back from it is making the wines and how the aging of the grapes, how, like, I don't know, it's just a very picky part of the game. You have to have specific grapes in a field. You have to pick those grapes every year, which is an action of one of your 3 people. And then those grapes then get aged, and then they turn into wine, but that is an action of one of your 3 people. So it's just really laborious to make a single bottle of wine. And that part of the game is not as exciting, but the forward thinking is exciting. So I'm a little mixed on it, but I see the genuine goodness of this game. So 7 is what it is for me. My next one is Mistborn, the deck building game. I loved Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. I thought it was incredible. I highly recommend it. It had a lot of social commentary in it that I think was completely unintentional. I won't get into what that social commentary is. You can kind of figure it out yourself, but I thought it was spectacular. So I was excited to pick this game up when I heard it was coming out, and it's a deck builder game, which deck building games are really fun. So what did I think of this one? This one was pretty cool. Now it is a cooperative game. You can play it competitive where you're fighting each other. I do want to try it that way. We just did the co-op version, and I think the co-op version, there's only one boss and that's it. So I do think it's going to get old once you have beat the boss, but I kind of want to play till I beat the boss. But the gimmick of this deck building is that you, and as a Mistborn, you ingest metals. I know it's a weird thing, and depending on what metal you ingest, you actually get different powers. So this game is about managing those metals and getting more powerful because you use those metals. So you're playing your cards that have the metals on it, and that's going to let you play cards, but you also have the metals themselves. Like you can see on the back here, there are 7 different tokens or 8 different tokens, and those are like, you can flash those metals, I think is what it's called, and you can like count it as 2 instead of 1, but you have to discard a card to get that back. So you are sacrificing something in the future to use this out of turn, essentially. It was a pretty cool deck building, but it kind of feels like if this was a competitive game, I would imagine it feels a lot like Star Realms or Shards of Infinity, but the mechanism of balancing and using that metal as a currency was really cool and really different. If you're a deck builder lover, try this one out. Very unique, does something different. So because of that, I'm going to give that one a 7? 7 it is. All right, the next one is a game that I got at Gen Con, and I'm giving it a 7 right now because I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about the game. I still love the concept of tag team, but I haven't got to play it enough to really see it shine yet. But this is an auto battler where you are mashing 2 fighters together, and then you're drafting you're going to draw 3 cards, and you're going to draft one of those cards, and then you're going to put it in the deck wherever you want it to be, and you are fighting one other opponent. So you know where their cards are on the deck, so you can start drafting to purposefully counter what they have drafted in the past. But with every draft that you make, your opponent's making the draft as well. So you might be thinking you're trying to stop a specific card from triggering, but they stack their deck in a way that pushes it further down, and you weren't anticipating that. So then you draft the next round to try to push your card back up, but you know where this is going. You're always trying to get inside the opponent's head, and I love that idea. I love this idea. This game is essentially Challengers, which I have enjoyed a lot, but it's just a one-on-one, and you're building the deck specifically to fight that opponent. So I have high hopes for this game still, but it still hasn't quite resonated in what I thought I would, and that's largely because I haven't got to spend much time playing it with one person. It's like we get to play one round, and then that's it. Somebody comes over, and we're done. So I do want to play this like for a good 45 minutes with one person, and I think, or try different heroes in the same sitting, and I think that that's going to elevate this game for me if I get to do that. So, all right, the next one is what I received from Kickstarter just recently, and that is Etherstone, which is from the company that made Darwin's Journey, which I'm also going to be talking about soon. Etherstone is kind of like not Arc Nova, Res Arcana, which is a game I really enjoy. So I thought I was going to like this one a lot. The art of it is beautiful, to be honest. When I saw the box art and the card art, I was like, ooh, and I looked into it, and then I saw it was from Thunderglyph Games, and I was like, all right, auto backing. I did not know what kind of game I was backing other than it was a card game. But this is essentially a variation of Res Arcana. You're going to draft 7 cards, and with those 7 cards, you're going to try to build the most robust engine. What's really different about this, though, the gimmick of this one, is there are these dice. The dice, when you draft a die, you will get 2 gems of that color, which you're going to use those gems to buy more cards. And you also can activate a dice ability based on the number on that die. So the dice are serving 2 purposes, both the value and the color. And the game's over when you play all 7 cards or when you defeat all the villains in the deck. And both of these triggering scenarios are kind of make the game like ramp up, makes the engine move quicker, and it's where the fun is. But also it's where there's some negativity as well. Because if you and your opponent are both rushing to kill the enemies, whoever's killing them better is going to win, and like the other person probably should stop killing things. Whoever's trying to play their cards the fastest, whoever is actually playing their card the fastest, they are going to win because they played it faster than the other. Now you might be thinking, okay, you outplayed your opponent. Well, yeah, you did, but it's also like you can tell that that's happening. So you can pivot halfway through, and you should, but you may not want to, and you might be like, oh, I think I can beat that person just because they have a slight lead on me. But I don't think you're going to. So I don't know. So it's good, but I think the both people who are playing it need to understand the balance of the game, and they need to be able to pivot when someone's going really heavy into one area and they don't think they can keep up. They cannot then also double down on that. So but in general, I do enjoy this game. There's a little combat in it, like you're actually trying to attack your opponent, and if you do kill your opponent, they take -7 points, but then they come back to life. So that is another kind of effectively another kind of currency you're balancing is your hit points, which makes it a lot different than Res Arcana. But also that card play is very similar to Res Arcana. You're drafting 8 cards or 7 cards, and you're trying to play those 7 cards. All right, the next one on my list, I had mentioned it when I talked about Etherstone just a moment ago, but that is Darwin's Journey. Backed this on Kickstarter, but got my copy played for the first time thanks to Randy. He sat down and we read the rules together, and I really enjoyed Darwin's Journey. It's just a worker placement game, but what makes this one unique is your workers are designed differently, and you get to pick how they're going to be designed. One of the actions is to get these seals, and you can put these wax seals that are associated with those workers on that worker, which means that worker can now take actions that require those wax seals, and they can do it better than other people. So you're trying to look at the board, and you're trying to figure out how should I build my workers so that I can optimize what I see on the board. And what you are actually trying to do on the board is journey through the Galapagos Islands. You're trying to do, there's 3 different islands, and you're trying to drop off your workers at each of those islands so that you can hike through the islands. You're also moving your ship along each island so that you can get to the end the fastest. Which is all these things are going to give you points. And then when you're on the Galapagos Island, you're going to be finding specimens that you bring back to the museum. When you place it on the museum, it increases how much victory points you're going to score at the end of the game, but also gets you money as well. Early in the game, you're going to get tons of money for doing this. Later in the game, you're going to get a lot of victory points for doing this. So there's a point in which that like shifts. And if you're not prepared for it, you can be stranded without a lot of money and not have a really good engine to get money. So playing on that research board is really important. But also moving through the Galapagos Islands and getting things off that island is also really important. This game has like some fixed locations, but there's also some random locations as well that makes every game just a little bit different. So I enjoyed Darwin's Journey. It's a really good thinky game, a lot going on. One of our friends, Ryan Evans, he actually said it was too much for the complexity of the game. He said it was complexity for complexity's sake. I kind of get that, but also that was after one play, and I was like, I think there's more in-depth strategy to this. And what I really think this game does is you have to pivot a lot. You have to see what everyone else is doing, and when they get in your way, what's your backup, or how do you overcome, or hey, I was going to go this direction, but that is now becoming more hard, like more difficult. Which new direction can I do and be efficient with that based on what I've played so far? And that's what this game like really shines in. So Darwin's Journey, I like it. I gave it what did I give it? An 8? An 8 it is. Now for one of the classics, and that is War Chest. War Chest is a chess-like game, except for each piece you're going to draft at the beginning of the game, and each piece is going to do something different. And you grab these units, and you have like a unit of like 5 of them. So you're gonna have 5 different units who have 5 different like poker chips. Then throughout the game, you're going to buy these poker chips and you're going to put them into your bag, and then you're going to draw out 3 bags and you're going to take a turn playing one of these poker chips. Well, the more of a and your goal is to like claim some these locations on the board or wipe out your opponent completely. What's really interesting about this game and what makes it really fun is that your characters on the board, when they are killed, they are removed from the game. But the catch is I can't do anything with those characters unless I draw a character from the bag. So every character I take out, I have this dilemma. Do I put them on the board to make my character better, or do I keep it in the bag so I can do actions with those characters? And you're always making that decision every single turn. And it just plays so well, so wonderfully. I've only played this as a 2-player game, even though it can go to 4. Maybe it's great at 4, but as a 2-player game, this game just shines and I love it. It's one of my favorites. I know I gave it 8.5, but that's largely because of the characters. I'm not entirely sure if they're always balanced. Sometimes it feels like you get really luck into a combo that just seems a little overpowered based on your opponent, but I haven't played enough to like definitively say that. But yeah, I love it. I always have a good time with it. That's War Chess. All right, my next one was a surprise game, and that is Mini Golf Designer. I played it with our producer Randy, and this game was fantastic. It is a tile laying game, and the tile laying part is you are building a I think 9-hole course on putt-putt, and you're trying to like make sure, you know, you get ramps that go up that I don't know. You're just trying to make a I love that's where I stopped. Ramps that go up. No, you're just trying to make a logical putt-putt arena. And you are at the beginning of the game, you're given a little card and it tells you your parameter. And it's not just a box. It's going to be all weird. And then there's like lakes in the middle of it and stuff. And the goal of the game is there's different ways to score it. And that's probably why it's not a 10, is because the different scenarios to score it seem to be all over the place. And you're like, okay, that one's weird. That one's fine. But whatever, gives you direction at least. So when I'm playing my tiles, I am trying to logically go from like hole 1 to 2 to 3 so that they're always the hole is right next to the entrance of the next one. Like that's the optimal flow of it. You can do things where they're not set up that way, where hole 5 is here, but hole 10 is down, or hole 6 is way down there. You can do that. It's just you don't get optimal points for it. So it's a really cool puzzle, and you can build in different areas because you can build diagonally. So because of that, you're like visualizing the way you want your putt-putt golf course to look like, and then you are executing. You're looking for specific tiles. You go, okay, I know I need 5, 6, and 7 to be in this corner, and I know that 8, 9, and 10 need to be down here. So how am I going to wrap those around? And then you find the exact tile that you need, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the perfect one for the 8 hole. So I'm going to put it here and hope that my 7 ends there. It's just a really cool game. I love that thought process. It's also why I like Tiny Towns a lot. I love to be able to look at the grid and plan it ahead of time in my head and go, all right, let's do this. That's the plan. So, yeah. Not Tiny Towns, Mini Golf Designer. There's 3 old ones and 1 new one that I've talked about. These are actually all kind of old ones. So quickly, I'm going to finish this out to get to the new one on my list. Okay, so first is Aeon's End. I'm really loving this game. Producer Randy has made me like this game because he's made me play it enough, but it's actually a really cool deck building game. It is cooperative where you're fighting a big bad. The big bad is so different every time. The game plays just a lot different, and you're looking at different ways to accomplish defeating the scenario. But what's really cool about this game is that the deck building is when you buy a card, it goes straight into your discard pile. When you play a card, you then put it into your discard pile. And then when your discard pile is full and your draw pile is empty, you will flip that discard pile over. You do not shuffle. Therefore, you can stack the deck the way you hope to make it work. Now, it doesn't always work the way you want to, but it does add an extra level of strategy to a deck building game where you can be like, how many times was Randy like, hey, do you need to draw a card? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure my next card is just a coin, so I don't need just a coin. So why don't you take the card draw instead? Or we need to defeat this in 2 rounds. Are you able to defeat this in 2 rounds? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure my big attacky card is going to be 3 rounds down, so I'm not going to be able to do that. So that's going to be up to you to defeat this guy. So you have this extra level of strategy that you get to talk about, and I think it works really well. The next one on my list is Marvel Champions. 10 out of 10. I love Marvel Champions. It's absolutely favorite. The theme is great, the gameplay is great, and what can I say? It's one of my favorite games of all time. But essentially, again, what's unique about this is a cooperative game where each villain feels drastically different. I'm building a deck that I constructed myself. I am getting powers onto the board, and the way I'm doing that is by discarding cards in my hand, so you always have that crunchy choice of which card do I play and which card do I discard, because all the cards in your hand are good. That's why you put them in the deck, is because you want them all. So you always have to make the hard decision of when do I attack the villain with this card, or when do I discard this card so I can actually play a engine building card. So really great. Marvel Champions, love it. My next one is Frosthaven. It's just Gloomhaven. If you ever watched the Board Game Rundown, they recently did an episode where I chimed in quite a lot, and we kind of were arguing about this. Frosthaven is just like Gloomhaven, just like Jaws of the Lion. It's just the flavor, a different flavor of the exact same game. But I love these 3 games so much. It's a co-op. Again, a co-op. How many co-ops do I play? I say I don't like them, but here they are, loving them. But no, Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, it's just every single battle that you're in, it just always comes down to the wire, to the last minute, and you can see the mistakes that you made in the scenario going, oh, if I had done this differently, this game would have went different. Or you get down to the very end and you're like, I don't think we're going to win this. And then you just squeak out a victory, but sometimes you don't as well. This game always comes down to the final straw, and because of that, Frosthaven and Gloomhaven series just is a shining beacon of just board game masterpiece, in my opinion. All right, and then the last game, and the new one that I haven't played or talked about in a while, and that is Baseball Highlights 2045. Now, I called this in our review a masterpiece game, and I am going to stick by that. I think this game, it is a deck building game that invokes baseball like no other game could possibly do. The deck building is so unique as well because you will always have, I think it's 14 cards in your deck. And that means anytime you hire somebody, you have to send somebody down to the minors, just like baseball, right? and the person you get goes on top of your deck. Because if you're going to draft a person, you're going to use him, right? You're just not going to put him on the bench. So you're always like getting the card that you want that round. And then the gameplay of Baseball Highlights is a really clever back and forth, because you are building your deck to specifically go against your opponent's deck. So if you know that they're getting a bunch of like robots, you can draft cards that do well against robots. So it makes you both have to pay attention to what each other are doing. And then when you are playing in a game, you have like 7 cards you get to choose from, and you play one, you flip it, and that top of the card is going to maybe stop your opponent, or it will allow your opponent's play to go through. And then you show your opponent, this is what I'm threatening, this is what I'm going to do. And then they play a card, and they either stop what you do, or you get to do it. And then they show, hey, I'm threatening this information. So it's just a fantastic tactical game where you can really pay attention to what your opponent is building, and you guys can counter it and go just head to head. Now, Baseball Highlights cannot recommend enough. Even if you do not like baseball, if you are a real gamer, then Baseball Highlights is going to be worth playing. You'll get over the theme quickly, I promise, because the gameplay is just so spot on and phenomenal. So there we go. Those were the games that I played in September. What of these have you played? What were your favorites? Or if I didn't talk about anything you knew or enjoyed, tell me, what did you play this month that was the most exciting for you? So just interact with me down below. Tell me what you think. And until next time, we'll see you around the board.